Adam Wilbourn.
Yes.
What was your 2019 wrestling prediction that you got wrong?
So I can't really think of anything I got wrong this year.
It's a work. Personally, I still think Dean Ambrose leaving WWE is a work. Because it's a bloody work, I told ya!
Wilbourn! Still a work? Still a work, it's still a work! He hasn't touched him yet!
No, sorry mate, I got nothing.
Okay, I should point out this was a prediction made well in advance of 2019. This wasn't an opinion I really carried through 2019. It was made firmly in 2018 and I was convinced of it up until... Well, I'll tell you what the prediction was and you try and tell me where I gave up on it, right? The Miz was going to be a main event world champion star, right, for 2019. I was convinced he was going to win Money in the Bank in 2018. They didn't. They seemed to sort of like keep that powder dry. They had the Bryan feud, which didn't really go anywhere. And I thought, you know what it is? Next year, the guy's probably the best talker they've got. He's so dependable. He's the one person who's not letting them down. He gets genuine heat when he tries to get it. I reckon it's his year, right? And then as he walked into that ring and the bell rang for the final of the best wrestler in the world tournament, I was like, this is it. He's going to win this. He's going to go at the Rumble and that's going to be it. That's going to be it. And then he hurt his knee. He hurt his knee, didn't he? Shane McMahon came in, won that tournament, they feuded for a little while, and then by the time the Royal Rumble came around, and I was convinced that was going to be Miz's Royal Rumble so we can go on to face Bryan at WrestleMania, it was The Miz and Shane McMahon versus The Bar for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And I was still convinced that they would pull it round at some point, but my big prediction for 2019 was it was The Miz's year, and it couldn't possibly have been any less than Miz's year. I'll hold my hands up on that one. But next year, 2020, when he's back from filming Miz and Miz's, it's his year. Still though, that's pretty bad, but at least I wasn't thinking it was a work.
I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thought that 2019 was going to be the year of Drew McIntyre.
Oh.
He came back to WWE in 2018. He was fantastic in NXT. And then, his main roster debut wasn't exactly amazing, but he ended 2018. He beat Dolph Ziggler, ending that stupid feud. He beat him in a cage match on the last show of 2018. And then he went into 2019 and he was straight away put into a fatal four-way match to determine the number one contender for the Universal Championship. He lost it. But then he joined forces with Corbin and Lashley to take on the Shield. Yeah, they lost that. But then he was Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, huge marquee match. Yeah, he lost that as well. But then he had another chance at facing Reigns and he lost that. But then he joined forces with Shane.
Yes.
And this was going to be it. This is huge storyline. This is his push to the main event. Yeah, he lost the first match of that. But then Shane beat him at Super Showdown.
Yeah.
And then McIntyre had another match with Reigns and he lost that too. But then Shane got fired. So at least that was that storyline out of the way. Okay, now he's free. He can go, he can be pushed to the moon. This can be the true Drew McIntyre is going to come out. And then he lost to the Graveyard Dogs.
Yeah, he did,
but then Ric Flair chose him to be in his team for Survivor Series. Lost that too. He got drafted to Raw. First round draft pick for Raw. Yeah. Huge draft. Yeah, they've not really done anything with him, have they?
Not yet.
Not yet. 2020, Drew. You can do it. I believe in you.
Is that on?
Yeah, let's do it. What do you reckon Miller's going to be?
For this?
Yeah.
No. The NXT won't win a Survivor Series.
What wrestling prediction did I get wrong in 2019? Well, as always, it's one of my own little stupid things. I kind of create my own expectations, and then when they don't happen, I'm really upset. But I was convinced that in this last 12-month calendar period that Rusev was finally going to get his just due. There's videos out there that we did at the end of December 2018 where I said that. And look, I still think he deserves some kind of props and some kind of credit, because WWE keeps putting him in situations where a lot of people would probably fail, but he always finds a way to make them work to a point. I think he probably did better in the whole Dolph Ziggler, Summer Rae, Lana thing, which is essentially the same story we've got going now. But again, he makes me laugh, or, last time he was calling people a wet fish, and this time he was coming out in like Bob Ross and Daffy Duck t-shirts, or Donald Duck, whoever it was, I can't remember. So I'm still endeared to him, and I'm still basically in love with him, but I went on record and said that I think this would be the year. I think I may have even said he'd become the world champion, which I don't think will ever happen at this point. So, I mean, hopefully, as another crazy prediction, hopefully maybe he just joins AEW and he can smash it there. I think he'd do well. He could join the Dark Order, because that wouldn't annoy anybody. So yeah, I'm still waiting for Rusev to be treated how I want. I should probably just give up by this stage, but I won't, because I'm hot-headed and I'm stubborn. But yeah, that's what I said. I said that Rusev would be, this would be his biggest year yet, and then he was out for a lot of it injured, and then came back and got cheated on by Bobby Lashley and Lana. I can't even remember what he did before that, which kind of sucks. Obviously, Rusev Day was a thing for a while, not this year, just in general. People still chant that, so that was nice. Look how sad I get when I start talking about it. One day.
My big wrestling prediction is not one that is rooted in knowledge or actually having just as good a take, and WWE did something different. I just thought Seth Rollins was going to make a great top babyface. I was there in the crowd at WrestleMania. I feel like Alan Partridge talking about going to an REO Speedwagon show. I was there at WrestleMania going, come on Seth Rollins, beat Brock Lesnar. I was with it. I was with the whole gimmick that he'd wrestled really long matches, which meant they were really good matches, even though I knew deep down they weren't. I liked the fact that his Monday Night Rollins t-shirt looked like a Raw logo that I actually liked rather than the ugly ones now. All of it fit just enough. I wasn't saying that I was the biggest Kingslayer marker. I was stomping my feet like he was as good as Shawn Michaels, because he never was. He's not as good as anybody thinks he is. But I just genuinely believed he had it in him. He'd given me enough evidence. He'd survived that Dean Ambrose feud. And by the way, can I just say thank God I didn't predict that Ambrose is leaving as a work thing, because nobody would be stupid enough to do that, surely. But he survived that programme, and the Shield felt powerful one last time. I thought, yeah, this really is the guy. I think I even followed him on Twitter for a few minutes, and that was where it really went wrong. By the end of 2019, Seth Rollins offered even less arguments for what makes a great top babyface than Roman Reigns on his worst day, even less good matches than John Cena when he was working up to the expectation that people had as him as a top guy. The WWE top babyface role is broken, but it shouldn't break the people doing it, and it absolutely broke Seth Rollins. He can never go back to that ever again, and I can never go back to what I thought early this year. I want to start liking him again, and that's going to take some time. I think that's the same for a lot of people. Watch some more Kenny Omega tapes, but you're never going to be Kenny Omega. Sorry, mate.
Right, okay, I know this whole thing's meant to endear ourselves to the comment section and all the rest of it, and I will do the whole humble thing in a bit, but allow me to put myself over first. Right, look at this. It is an excerpt from an article I wrote in October of last year. Don't look at the comments, but do look at the heading. I have said 10 early wrestling predictions for 2019. Number 7, WWE will ruin. Fumbles around a big bag of NXT names. Literally, it could be anyone. Aleister Black! And they did, in fact, ruin Aleister Black by basically making him, me, as a 17-year-old English literature student, pretentious, verbose, complete nonsense, and it didn't get over. Just like I didn't really get over in that common room. However, one thing I will say, I will get to the humble bit, is that ahead of Dominion, when it was announced that Jon Moxley was going to have a match with Shota Umino, I said, right, Moxley needs to hospitalise this poor prick, instigating his excursion. In about 2 or 3 years' time, he could come back to exact vengeance. Literally the opposite of this happened, and it was amazing. Moxley and Shota became best mates with such great, wholesome content. And I just love the idea of why were they friends? And then you had to put this in your mind's eye. It relied on your imagination to make the dynamic work. And I just love the fact that Jon Moxley was just taking Shooter to bars in Roppongi and ruining his innocence. So yes, I predicted something. Not only did it not happen, the opposite happened, and it was exponentially better. But still, I'm a lot cleverer than Adam Wilbourn.
So, 2019, the one thing I thought was a sure thing in WWE, they can't possibly make a meal of this. There's absolutely no way. Not even with what they've done to this character over the years and the other examples we have of them taking what looked like an easy win and kind of dropping the ball with it. This one, it's gonna go right, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be amazing. That was Roman Reigns' return. When he came back from his terrible illness, when he overcame that for a second time in his life, I thought that there was no way on earth that this man wasn't going to completely turn the corner in terms of crowd reactions and be the ultimate babyface in pro wrestling. Ground-shaking reactions in every building he walked into, cheers, chants, the whole nine, because how could he not? He was the most sympathetic man in the entire game. Nobody had a real-life story in WWE in 2019 that generated as much sympathy and support as Roman Reigns. And what happened when the guy came back? Within 1 month, Roman Reigns was just a guy. Now, this is significantly better than what came before, obviously, when he was universally rejected as the guy the company chose, not the fans. But watching him at Wrestle, it was legitimately hard to watch at WrestleMania 35. His big singles comeback match against Drew McIntyre. He wins, not a great match by any stretch, but the guy wins. It was poorly positioned as well, coming after the big crowd popping moment for Kofi as well. But he's celebrating on that turnbuckle. He's probably crying, right? He's an emotional wreck in that ring. Big cathartic moment. I'm back. I've won at WrestleMania. What does he get from the crowd? Nothing. And it's been very similar since then. Reigns is getting more cheers than boos now. That's undeniable, right? When he walks in, it's a largely positive response. But it's not much of a response, is the issue. He's getting the same muted reaction as almost everyone else in the company. And yeah, okay, Baron Corbin smearing him in dog food gets a little heat for the heels, but my worry is, going into 2020 now, that they have diminished this guy to the point that he's literally just any other face on the roster, and that is a massive, massive shame. I understand that they didn't want to immediately thrust him into a massive position of prominence and risk people souring him on him again. That's all very well, but you had this potentially huge, game-changing babyface who the fans could finally choose as their own, not your own, the fans would embrace as their own, and I feel like they've made a complete balls of it by making him ordinary, by making him the same as everyone else. But I'll tell you what, no matter what I can sit here and say, it's not going to be as bad as bloody Wilbourn's, is it? So
you could say they made a dog's dinner of it.
Hey.